My bestie just started seeing this cute younger guy, but she had a bad feeling and insisted I go test him. I used every trick in the book to try and expose him. And just as I was about to reveal his true scumbag colors, my bestie called me in a total panic. Wrong guy, wrong guy. You're flirting with his uncle, not him. My bestie, Chloe, was completely obsessed with the new younger guy she was dating. But the last shred of her sanity made her cling to my leg, crying her eyes out before she fell completely under his spell. Sophie, my sweet Sophie, you have to help me. You know I haven't felt this way about anyone in years. I really, really like him this time. You wouldn't want to see me get my heart broken after I've already invested so much, would you? Her whole performance left me no choice but to give in with a sigh. I poked her on the forehead, exasperated. It's always sweet Sophie, when you need something, and that damn girl, when you don't. All right, stop the waterworks. Send me his picture. But let's get one thing straight, this is a one-time deal. Whatever the outcome, you have to accept it. She immediately started nodding like a bobblehead. According to the photo and info Chloe gave me, Leo played basketball at the University Athletic Center every day at 4 p.m. The gym was packed and loud, the air thick with testosterone. My head was already spinning from all the college jocks. I steadied myself and tried to remember what Chloe had told me yesterday. If your face blindness kicks in, just look for the guy wearing this hat. I had it custom made, it's the only one in the world. You can't get the wrong person. So, using the hat as my guide, I quickly locked onto a man playing basketball on the court. Gotcha. I found a conspicuous spot to sit. And just as he was dribbling past a defender, I deliberately ran into him. I'm so sorry. We both said it at the same time. When I looked up, I froze. From that crusty, low residential photo, I could vaguely tell that Leo was a sunny, handsome guy with a youthful, boy-next-door vibe. But the man in front of me. He had an equally handsome face, but his features were sharper, more mature, and rugged. His eyes were deeper, his nose was more defined, and he even seemed a few inches taller than described. Do college guys all look this mature these days? I wondered. But like Chloe said, I'm terrible with faces, but there's no mistaking that hat. Miss, are you okay? He spoke, and his voice was deeper than I'd expected, too. I immediately slipped into character, rubbing my forehead and putting on the perfect damsel in distress face. I'm a little dizzy. I think the impact was just so sudden. Could you help me sit down over there? Before he could answer, as I was getting up, I accidentally brushed my hand over the abs under his jersey before taking his strong arm for support. I cursed inwardly. Damn. Lucky girl. She's eating good. His body visibly tensed, and he looked down at me. I immediately put on my most innocent expression, with a hint of distress from the collision. As if that wandering hand wasn't mine at all. He gave me a look that was somewhere between a smile and a smirk but didn't press the issue. Things went surprisingly smoothly after that. I lied and said I was a recent grad, and he didn't seem to doubt me at all. We talked about basketball and how much the campus had changed. After a little while, I used the excuse of being thirsty. As I watched him walk toward the vending machine, I seized the opportunity, grabbing a guy who looked like his teammate and had just come off the court for a break. I tilted my chin in Leo's direction. My smile was sweet, with just the right amount of curiosity. Hey, excuse me, that guy over there, does he have a girlfriend? The guy stunned first, then looked me up and down. I gave him a subtle, you know what I mean look. A flash of understanding crossed his eyes. Him? Nope. Don't worry, he's single. And he lowered his voice, his tone encouraging. I think you're just his type. If you make a move, I'd say you have a really good shot. I put on a surprised and shy expression, but inside, I was sneering. Of course. Playing the single card to lure in naive young women. A classic scumbag move. Just as I was plotting how to expose him, A guy in a sweatsuit was shoved forward by his laughing friends. He walked up to me, blushing, his eyes darting around. "Hi, do you go to school here?" My heart skipped a beat. Had I been found out? My face hardened, and I leaned back defensively. "Can I help you?" He panicked instantly. "No, I just wanted to ask if you were here alone. Could I get your number? I was thinking, maybe I could buy you dinner." I let out a silent sigh of relief and was about to politely decline, when a cold water bottle touched my cheek from behind. I looked up. Leo, or who I thought was Leo, had returned at some point. Standing behind me, backlit, his expression was unreadable, but his shadow completely enveloped me. He casually handed me the water bottle and sat down beside me. Then, he looked calmly at the other guy, his tone unreadable. "She's not alone." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the underclassmen and his friends, carrying a subtle hint of pressure. "She's with me. You're late to the party. You'll have to get in line." Maybe it was just me, but in that perfectly normal sentence, I heard a clear threat, staking his claim. The underclassman and his friends saw how it was, muttered a sheepish "Our bad," and quickly scurried away. I pushed down the strange feeling in my gut. I deliberately looked up at him, using it as an excuse to say, "Well, you just scared off my dinner date. Aren't you going to buy me a meal to make up for it?" He looked at me when he heard that. "What do you want to eat?" "You." I looked him straight in the eye and said it with a sweet smile. A flicker of shock crossed his face, and his ears turned a faint shade of red. Before he could speak, I added slowly, "Just kidding." I tugged on the corner of his shirt, looking pitiful. "I want to go to a bar. Will you go with me? Please?" He frowned. "Why would you want to go to a messy place like that?" I silently rolled my eyes. "You and Chloe met at a bar, so stop pretending. You're probably just worried about running into someone you know." But on the outside, I squeezed out a couple of tears, my voice thick with misery. "The truth is, I just got my heart broken. My friends all say the best way to forget a man is with alcohol and a new man. But I think alcohol is a lot more reliable than men." His brow was still furrowed. "And because of that, you're just going to ask a random guy to go drinking with you?" I rolled my eyes again internally. "How am I supposed to get you drunk and get the truth out of you if I don't take you to a bar?" But on the outside, I just fluttered my eyelashes and naturally placed my hands over his. "You're not just some random guy. I feel like I can trust you. Can't I?" The line was so over the top, even I thought my acting was a bit much. But surprisingly, he didn't immediately refuse. After a long moment, he finally spoke. "Fine. I'll go with you. That damn scumbag. He actually dared to come. Even though I wanted him to, so I could get him drunk and pry some information out of him. I was still pissed that he actually showed up. He has Chloe, so how could he just agree to go to a bar with any random girl who asks? No loyalty. A disgrace to all men." At the bar, I fumed silently while trying to figure out how to get him drunk. He, who had been quiet the whole time, suddenly spoke up. "So tell me, what kind of man was your ex, to ever let you go?" His question caught me off guard, and I quickly made something up. "Huh? Oh. He cheated on me. With my best friend. Sorry, Chloe. You'll have to be the villain for the sake of this test." As I spoke, I sneakily watched his reaction. After all, the mention of cheating should at least make him feel a little guilty, right? He frowned slightly at my words. "It's not worth being sad over someone like that. He doesn't deserve you." I sneered inwardly. "Keep acting. You're the one who plays around and is even less deserving." Outwardly, though, I lowered my gaze in agreement, my voice tinged with sadness. "Yeah, you're right, he's not worth it, so, let's drink. To saying goodbye to the wrong ones." I seized the chance to grab the bottle and top off his glass, then poured one for myself. After clinking our glasses, I downed mine in one go. He watched me, his gaze deep, but he followed suit and took a drink. After a few rounds, I felt the mood was right and casually turned the question back on him. So what about you? You're so handsome, and you have a great personality. You're telling me no girls have ever gone after you? I've never been in a relationship. And I don't get too close to other women. The liar. He could spin that yarn without even blinking. I suppressed the urge to call him out, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. So I don't count as other women? He glanced at me, a smirk playing on his lips. You're not just any woman. I can trust you, can't I? I almost choked on my drink. Where have I heard that before? You little punk, using my own words against me. Undeterred, I pressed on. Not even a one that got away? Someone you had a crush on, never? He looked down and poured himself another drink. After a moment, he nodded. Yes. And my biggest regret is not being braver back then. So much so that now, even if she sees me, she doesn't remember me. I ignored his last sentence and kept probing. So what if you start dating someone, and then your old flame comes back? Wouldn't that be totally unfair to the new girl? He turned to look at me, his eyes serious. I won't date anyone. He paused, then added firmly. If I do, that person will be her. Seeing my reflection in his eyes, my heart involuntarily skipped a beat. I'll admit, he was a high-level player. He almost had me running for the hills. I excused myself to the restroom and took out my voice recorder. This guy had an old flame and was still trying to maintain his single guy persona. If I just gave this recording to Chloe, my job would be done. But to my dismay, the microphone had been blocked. All I could hear was a muffled buzzing sound. Nothing. I was frustrated. You're forcing me to use my ultimate move, huh? On my way back, as I passed by him, I pretended to be dizzy from the drinks. My feet stumbled, and with a little gasp, I fell right into him. Ouch. I landed squarely against his warm, solid chest. A faint, woody scent enveloped me. I could clearly feel his body tense up and his heart start to race. I mentally high-fived myself. Mission accomplished. I was just about to follow my plan, snuggle into his chest, whisper some flirty line like, "I'm so dizzy, you smell so good," and see how he'd react. But before I could even open my mouth, a deep, slightly raspy voice came from above my head. "Sophie, what you said back at the gym." He paused, his arm unconsciously tightening around me, pulling me closer into his embrace. Did you mean it? For a second, I didn't know what he was talking about and asked instinctively. What did I say? You said, you wanted to eat me. Did you mean it? My mind went completely blank as his face drew nearer. He cupped the back of my neck, his warm breath tickling my ear as he murmured. Didn't you say the best way to get over a failed relationship is with alcohol and a new man? We've had the alcohol. Ready to try the second cure? Sitting in the hotel room, listening to the sound of him showering, I instantly sobered up. I only agreed to test him, not to throw myself into the bargain. I quickly texted my bestie. Grand Hotel, room 1307. Come bust us. Quick. But I waited and waited, and there was no reply. I started to panic. Nope, I have to get out of here. If I don't, I'm done for when he comes out. Lost in my scramble to pack, I didn't notice the sound of the shower had stopped. Click. The bathroom door opened. A man with an 8-pack, a towel wrapped around his waist, stepped out amidst the steam. He looked at me, already halfway to the door, and raised an eyebrow. Sophie, don't tell me you're getting cold feet now. My brain short-circuited. I'm so screwed. Of course not. I forced a brilliant, almost sycophantic smile. I just remembered we don't have any, you know. I'll run down and buy a box. As I spoke, I continued to inch toward the door. But before my hand could touch the doorknob, a large hand shot past my shoulder. Thud. He slammed it against the door, trapping me completely between him and the wood panel. His warm breath fanned across my ear, smelling of fresh soap. His voice was low and dangerous. I already bought some at the convenience store. The clerk said they're ultra thin, and that they'll enhance your experience. Before I could react, he lifted me up and gently placed me on the desk. One of his hands gently stroked my calf, his palm searing hot as it traveled upward, exploring and caressing. His other hand slid under my clothes, cupping my breast and kneading gently. A shiver ran through me, and an involuntary moan escaped my lips. I tried to curl up, but he held me firmly in place. Don't move. His voice was deep, allowing no argument. Tears sprang to my eyes from the sheer sensation. I didn't dare move. He withdrew his hand from under my dress and knelt on the floor. He gently removed my red high heels. My feet looked surprisingly small in his hands. His palm accidentally brushed against the sole of my foot, sending a jolt through me. My self-control was about to shatter. He let out a soft chuckle and began to lick his way up from my ankle. The last shred of my sanity made me press the tips of my toes against his firm abs before he could go any further. Wait. I panted, thinking fast. I smell like alcohol. Let me take a shower first. His eyes darkened, and he gripped my ankle, caressing it gently. I don't mind. Well, I do. I insisted, my toes unconsciously tracing his V-line, feeling his muscles instantly tense up. I felt a rush of heat to my face. Damn, this guy looked even better with his clothes off. I quickly covered my nose and glanced at him cautiously, the corners of my eyes still damp from what he'd just done to me. The sight made me look utterly pathetic and helpless. I'm not trying to run away. I just want to take a hot shower. Is that so much to ask? His Adam's apple bobbed, his eyes churning with dark emotions as if weighing my words. After a long moment, he lowered his head and placed a searing kiss on the inside of my ankle. A slight sting made me whimper. I looked down to see an intimate red mark where his lips had been. Fine. He finally let go, his voice impossibly hoarse. Hurry back. I practically fled into the bathroom, locking the door behind me and leaning against it, gasping for air. My phone vibrated. A flood of messages from Chloe came in. But I had no time for them. I called the hotel's front desk while turning on the shower, using the sound of the water to mask my voice. Hi, there's a Lexus blocking the exit in the garage. Could you please contact the owner to have it moved? 2 minutes later, I pressed my ear to the door and heard a phone ring outside. He answered, his tone a little impatient. Right now? Okay, I'll be right down. I heard footsteps fade away and the click of the main door closing. After counting to 5, I bolted from the bathroom, grabbed my bag, and ran. Are you kidding me? I'm the reigning champion of bailing. If I don't run now, am I supposed to stick around and let you eat me alive? I didn't start to calm down until I'd rushed out of the hotel and jumped into a taxi. My heart was pounding in my chest, and the spot on my ankle where he'd kissed me was still burning, a stark reminder of how dangerous that situation had been. My phone was vibrating like crazy. I took a deep breath and answered. Chloe's frantic voice came through the speaker. Sophie, what's wrong? What did your last text mean? What hotel? Who are you busting? Remembering what I'd just been through, I ground my teeth. What were you doing? Why didn't you answer your phone? Chloe sounded a little hurt. I was on a date with Leo today. We were at an escape room, and my phone was locked in a locker. I called you the second I saw your messages. Wait. She was with Leo tonight? Then who was I just flirting with? My world went dark. I asked in a trembling voice. You were with Leo the entire day? It sounded like Chloe moved to a quieter spot before whispering. Yeah, didn't we agree that I'd go on a date with him today, and you'd test him for me tomorrow? As Chloe spoke, the conversation we'd had before bed yesterday flashed through my mind. We were discussing the battle plan. And Chloe kept waffling between tomorrow and the day after. She took so long to decide that I was falling asleep. I couldn't remember which day she finally settled on. And I didn't even confirm with her before heading out today. Oh, God. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. What have I done to a complete stranger today? I buried my face between my knees in shame. But my mind couldn't help but drift back to that Manto, his deep eyes. His low voice, the warmth of his palm. And the way he looked at me when he knelt to take off my shoes. That focused, predatory gaze. Every inch of skin he'd kissed and licked now felt like it was on fire. I shook my head violently, trying to banish the images. Sophie. Get a grip. That man is dangerous. After getting home, I took a week off from work. I was determined to become a hermit and forget the whole socially suicidal experience. On the third day of playing dead, just as I felt I was truly becoming a desireless mushroom, Chloe stormed my apartment. She dug me out from under the covers. You're not answering your phone or your texts. Are you trying to become a monk or something? Spill. What happened that day you told me to come bust you at the hotel? I buried my face in my pillow and weakly waved a hand. It was a beautiful mistake. The best thing we can do is let it be buried in the river of time. Seeing my lifeless state, Chloe just shrugged. Fine, I won't ask. But I have to tell you, I've had a change of heart. She sat cross-legged on my bed, her expression serious. I've been thinking for the past few days, and I realized I shouldn't have doubted Leo and sent you to test him. Love is all about trust and honesty, right? Hearing this, I wanted to scream. I couldn't help but complain internally. Lady, where was this epiphany before? Did your best friend have to take a few bullets for you to finally see the light? Besides, a blush spread across her cheeks. Leo said he wants me to meet his family. I shot up from my pillow. Meet his family? Already? She nodded emphatically. Leo said he wants to introduce me to his uncle. And you know, I don't really have any family here. You're the only family I've got. So, for this meeting, I want you to come with me. I want to formally introduce you to them, too. My first instinct was to refuse. But looking at Chloe's hopeful eyes, the words died on my lips. Then I thought, if I don't say anything, what happened that day will forever be a secret. This city is huge. What are the chances I'd run into that guy again? I can't just be a coward for the rest of my life over one mortifying incident, can I? After a long internal debate, I finally nodded. Okay, I'll go. On the day of the meeting, I dressed up meticulously, trying my best to look like a dignified and mature member of the family. In the private room at the restaurant, I finally met the man who had Chloe so head over heels, Leo. He was just as sunny and handsome as in the photos. When he smiled, he revealed two cute little fangs, radiating youthfulness. I secretly compared him to the man from the gym. They had a slight resemblance in the eyes, but their vibes were completely different. I was screaming inside, Chloe, oh, Chloe, if you had just given me one clear, high residential photo, I wouldn't have made such a monumental screw-up. Leo was a true gentleman, pulling out our chairs, pouring water, and attending to every detail. After some small talk, he said apologetically, "My parents are still abroad and couldn't make it back in time. So today, my uncle is representing our family. He just texted to say there's some traffic, so he might be a little late." Chloe leaned in and whispered to me, "Leo's uncle is super impressive. He's a director at a multinational corporation at such a young age, and he's an even better basketball player than Leo. And wait till you see him's in his early 30s but looks like a college student." Leo overheard and chimed in with a laugh. "My uncle is great at everything, but the one thing that drives my family crazy is that he's always been single. There isn't so much as a female fly buzzing around him. My grandparents are so worried they've said they'd even be happy if he brought home a boyfriend. I nodded along absently. It was only when I heard great basketball player that my heart skipped a beat, and I unwillingly thought of that man again. Wait, no. I shook my head. Sophie, stop thinking about him. He's not for you. Leo didn't notice my small reaction and continued. Oh, by the way. My uncle is usually pretty easygoing, but he's been in a really bad mood the last few days. If he looks a little pissed off later, please don't take it personally. It's definitely not directed at you. I asked casually. Why is he in a bad mood? Leo sighed and lowered his voice. It's kind of a crazy story. A couple of days ago, I had that date with Chloe, so I asked my uncle to drop off some documents for me at school since he was passing by. He stopped by the gym, got an itch to play for a bit, and, I guess some girl played him. The water glass in my hand trembled, and my voice shook as I asked. What happened? I don't know the details. Leo shrugged and went on. Apparently, this girl hit on him first, even felt up his abs. Then she pretended to be drunk, lured him to a hotel, and while my uncle was on the phone for a minute, she just vanished. Now he's turning the city upside down looking for her. Says he needs to know why she played with his feelings like that. Pft, cough. I choked on my water, my face turning bright red as I coughed violently. Sophie, are you okay? Chloe quickly started patting my back. I waved my hand dismissively, my heart hammering against my ribs, but I forced myself to stay calm and ask. Leo, your uncle, does he go to your school to play basketball often? Not really. That day was a total fluke. Leo shook his head. My uncle's actually really busy, and the place he usually plays is. The more I listened, the more I couldn't sit still. Cold sweat was soaking through the back of my shirt. I cut him off, my voice trembling. Leo, do you have a picture of your uncle on your phone? I'm just a little curious. Sure, we took a bunch at the last family gathering. Leo, completely unsuspecting, pulled out his phone and started scrolling. See, this is my uncle, Julian. That familiar, heart-stopping face appeared on the screen. The deep-set eyes, the strong jawline. Even in a family photo, he had an undeniable presence. I felt all the blood rush to my head. It was him. It was really him. How could the world be this small? My vision tunneled, and my legs turned to jelly. My mind had only one thought: run. I had to run. Now. I shot up from my seat. Chloe and Leo both looked at me, surprised. Sophie, what's wrong? Chloe asked. I suddenly remembered I think I left the gas on at home. I babbled incoherently, grabbing my bag and rushing for the elevator. Confused, Leo and Chloe followed me. Just then, Leo's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and smiled at us. My uncle's here. He's already in the elevator. Clang. As the elevator dinged and the doors opened. My bag dropped to the floor. The second the elevator doors opened, I dodged behind Chloe with lightning speed. At the same time, I pulled out the sunglasses, hat, and mask I always keep in my bag, instantly completing my three-piece disguise. I suddenly feel really sick. Dizzy, nauseous. I have to go home. I pinched my voice, making it high and squeaky, completely altering it. An assessing gaze fell on me. Even through the dark lenses, I could feel the pressure from Julian's deep eyes. He just stood there in the elevator. Tall and imposing in a sharp suit. A world away from the lazy sensuality of the man at the basketball court and the hotel. But that dangerous aura hadn't diminished one bit. He stared at me, the corner of his mouth seeming to curl into the faintest of smiles. He didn't say a word, but his stare made my skin crawl and sent cold sweat dripping down my back. Sophie, are you okay? What's going on all of a sudden? Chloe looked back at me, worried. seizing the moment while their attention was diverted and they hadn't fully processed the situation. I darted into the elevator, head down, and used my elbow to push Julian, who was still standing inside, out. "Excuse me, sorry, coming through. You all have a great meal, don't mind me, I'm leaving." I successfully escorted him out of the elevator and rapidly jabbed the closed door and first floor buttons. In the shrinking gap as the elevator doors slowly closed, I saw Julian turn around, his probing eyes still locked firmly on me. As the doors finally shut and the elevator began its descent, I let out a long, shuddering breath, my back against the wall, my legs weak. The second I was out of the building, I hailed a cab. Just as I pulled the door open and had one foot inside the car, a large, well-defined hand clamped down on my arm. The grip wasn't too hard or too soft, but it was enough to keep me from breaking free. I turned my head stiffly and met Julian's half-smiling face. "Sophie, is it?" His voice was calm but held an authority that couldn't be questioned. "Not feeling well? I'll take you home." No, really. You don't have to." I squeaked, my voice trembling. I didn't dare look him in the eye. "It's easy for me to get a cab." He leaned in a little closer. "Why are you so afraid of me? Do we know each other?" "Nope. Definitely not." I shook my head like a toy on a dashboard. He let out a low chuckle that made my scalp tingle. "If we don't know each other, then why do you look so guilty, like you've done something to wrong me and are trying to escape?" I didn't dare say a word. Just then, Chloe and Leo came running over, out of breath. "Uncle." "Sophie." Leo breathed a sigh of relief when he saw us. "Sophie, are you okay? You're sweating and you look so pale. We were really worried about you going home alone." Chloe chimed in. "Yeah, Sophie, just let Julian take you. He's a safe driver." I tried to protest again. But Julian had already, without any room for argument, pried my hand off the taxi door, given the driver an apologetic nod, and then half-supported, half-guided me toward a black sedan parked nearby. "Let's go, Sophie." He opened the passenger side door, his tone gentle but his actions firm and undeniable. "I'll make sure you get home safely." The car was filled with a faint, woody scent, the same as the one on him that night. I sat rigidly in the passenger seat, feeling like a fish on a grill doomed either way. Julian started the car smoothly and merged into traffic. "Where do you work, Sophie?" He started with small talk. "I'm a designer at a small company." I answered cautiously, my voice still pinched. "You look very familiar. Have we met somewhere before?" "I don't think so. I have one of those faces." I adjusted my sunglasses. He chuckled, his fingers tapping lightly on the steering wheel. "Do you like sports? For example, basketball?" My heart seized up. I immediately denied it. "Not really. I rarely exercise." "Is that so?" His tone was casual. "I hear the gym at Leo's university is quite nice." My knee-jerk reaction was to distance myself. I've never been there. The moment the words left my mouth, I wanted to slap myself. Could I have been more obvious? He never even asked if I'd been there. Sure enough, the corners of Julian's mouth curved into a more pronounced smile. But he didn't seem inclined to press the issue. A brief silence fell over the car. After a moment, he glanced nonchalantly at my ankle. "Sophie," he began slowly. "You and your boyfriend really play rough, huh?" He added meaningfully. "It was dark in the hotel that night, so I didn't get a good look. I just noticed today that the bite mark on your ankle hasn't quite faded yet." My brain buzzed, and blood rushed to my face. Humiliated and furious, I blurted out. "Bullshit. That's only there because you..." Screech. The car came to an abrupt, screeching halt at the side of the road. Inertia threw me forward, but the seatbelt yanked me back, nearly stopping my heart. Julian turned around, one hand resting on the steering wheel, and looked at me with a smirk. Because of me what? It's over. It's all over. I yanked off my sunglasses, hat, and mask in frustration. Crumpled them into a ball. And slumped back against the seat, defeated but still stubborn. What do you want from me? What do I want? Julian repeated, leaning toward me slightly, his gaze locked on mine. Shouldn't I be the one asking you that? You were the one who came on to me, so why did you just leave without a word? There was a hint of hurt in his voice. I didn't. I retorted instinctively. You didn't? He moved closer, his breath fanning my face. You were the one who flirted with me, who touched my abs, who said you wanted to eat me, who asked me to the bar, who pretended to be drunk and fell into my arms, who agreed to go to the hotel, and then, while I was on the phone for 1 minute, you vanished. Sophie, you're telling me that's not playing games? With every word he said, my face grew hotter, until I felt like I was on fire. I had my reasons. What reasons? Tell me. He waited, looking completely at ease. What could I say? That I was testing my best friend's boyfriend. But I got the wrong guy and ended up hitting on his uncle? Seeing me bite my lip and stay silent. Julian watched me for a long moment before finally sighing and starting the car again. By the time the car stopped in front of my apartment building, my palms were slick with sweat. Julian killed the engine, and the car filled with a suffocating silence. Sophie. He finally said, his voice low. I'm going to give you 2 choices. I nervously clutched the hem of my shirt. First, you go upstairs right now, and we pretend we never met. I'll explain everything to Chloe and Leo so it won't affect their relationship. The offer sounded tempting, but for some reason, I felt a pang of disappointment. And the second one? I asked quietly. He turned his head and looked at me calmly. Second, you have 5 minutes to explain what happened that day. I want the truth. Every single word. I took a deep breath, knowing that running away wouldn't solve anything. After hesitating, I told him everything: how Chloe begged me for help, how I mixed them up, how I tried to get information at the bar, and how I finally fled in a panic. I didn't even leave out what I was thinking when I touched his abs. After I finished, I hung my head, not daring to look at him. I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to play with your feelings. I panicked. After a long silence, I heard him sigh softly. Look at me, Sophie. I timidly raised my head and met his eyes. Surprisingly, they held no anger, just a sort of weary resignation. He asked, do you know why I was angry? Because I lied to you? No, he shook his head. Because I almost missed my chance with you. I was stunned. That night at the hotel, after you ran away, I stood in that empty room and felt a sense of loss I've never experienced before. His voice was very soft. I'm 30 years old. I've never truly fallen for anyone until I met you. You're impulsive and clumsy, but you're also endearingly sincere. I thought I had finally met the right person, and then I turned around, and you were gone. My heart suddenly started to race. So, he looked directly into my eyes. Now you know the truth. I'm not the person you meant to flirt with, and I'm not some young, sunny college kid. I'm 7 years older than you think, my personality can be boring, and I'm always busy with work. Are you still willing to get to know this version of me? His eyes held a rare hint of vulnerability. In that moment, this mature, composed man looked like a teenager awaiting judgment. Without a moment's hesitation, I nodded forcefully, my voice choked with emotion. Yes. Actually, I didn't just run away because I was scared. It was also because I realized I think I was actually falling for you. That made me feel even guiltier toward Chloe and made it even harder to face you. He smiled and reached out to gently wipe away my tears. You silly girl. So, what are we now? I asked carefully. What do you think? He raised an eyebrow. You've touched me, you've held me, We've been to a hotel, you're not going to ghost me now, are you? My face was burning. That was different. That was a mission. I don't care. He leaned in, his lips brushing against my ear. You started this, so you have to take responsibility. How do I do that? You can spend a lifetime paying me back. After that night, Julian and I were officially a couple. He was mature and stable, but when it came to certain things, he possessed an undeniable dominance and endless energy. Every time he held me in his arms, feeling the heat of his body and the possessive force of his embrace, I would feel a dizzying sense of unreality, as if I were floating on a cloud. After another round of breathtaking intimacy, as I floated back down to earth, a question from long ago popped into my head. I propped myself up, looking down at him. Wait, there's something I have to ask you. He murmured, his eyes closed, his large hands still tracing lazy circles on my smooth back, his voice thick with satisfaction. Have you forgotten? At the bar, you told me you had an old flame you couldn't get over. I poked his hard chest. You even said that if you ever got married, it would have to be her. How can you betray her and use me as a replacement now? You scumbag. Julian's movements paused for a fraction of a second. With a swift, fluid motion, he flipped me over, easily pinning me beneath him again. Warm breath washed over my ear. Still holding on to that after all this time? He chuckled, avoiding the question. He silenced my lips with a flurry of kisses, trailing down my neck, skillfully reigniting the fire within me. NGH, don't think you can get away with it. I tried to resist, but his teasing quickly turned my defenses to dust. My body began to move with his against my will, my thoughts growing hazy once more. He increased the pressure, every thrust a declaration of ownership. As I was lost in a haze of pleasure, he whispered against my ear. My eyes, my heart, my arms, there's only ever been you. My eyes rolled back. All my questions were once again pounded into oblivion, as I drowned in the sublime waves he created. The question about his old flame was, once again, left unanswered. Then, one weekend afternoon, I was tidying up his study out of boredom. As I wiped down the top shelf of the bookcase, a slightly worn, dark wooden box unexpectedly slipped and fell. The lid burst open, and its contents scattered across the floor. Besides a few school pins and old fountain pens, there was a stack of photos. The photos were slightly yellowed with age, but the images were clear. It was me. All different versions of a younger, unguarded, unpolished me. My heart leaped into my throat. I grabbed the photos, stormed into the living room, and waved them at Julian, who was reviewing a file. Julian. Explain this to me right now. Why do you have photos of me from college? A flicker of panic, almost imperceptible, crossed Julian's eyes. But he quickly regained his composure. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked toward me step by step, his gaze deep and intense. He backed me into the study and locked the door behind us. Sophie. He murmured my name, his voice low and dangerous. Don't come any closer. Answer my question. I tried to retreat, but my back hit the hard edge of the desk. He easily captured my flailing wrists. His heated body pressed against mine, trapping me between him and the desk. Some things. He lowered his head, the tip of his nose brushing against my cheek, his warm lips ghosting over mine, are just too complicated to explain. You jerk, you're not getting out of this again. I struggled. But his expert touch gradually drained my strength. His kisses fell like a torrent, possessive and absolute, swallowing my questions and protests. His cool fingers slid under the hem of my shirt, touching the skin of my waist and sending a shiver through me. The scattered photos were swept to the floor by our entangled bodies, forgotten. He lifted me onto the desk in one motion. Files and books were brushed aside. The expensive hardwood desk became our new battlefield. All words lost their meaning, leaving only ragged breaths and the searing heat of skin on skin. As my body was sent over the edge again and again, my consciousness fading, a blurry thought formed. Next time, I swear I won't let him distract me so easily. Definitely.